Gundam fans and Gunpla fans alike. I know that most of us have already seen the Mobile Suit Gundam G-QuuuuuX announcement, and that is coming out this year. It's already come out this year, as a matter of fact, just in Japan. So I know that here in the States it has not come out quite yet. But I want to go ahead and go over this a little bit because I've got some mixed feelings about this show and even this line of kits to begin with. And so, we'll start here with the landing page for the Gundam.info about this series for G-QuuuuuuX. And you can see the mobile suit here. This is under wraps. We're not sure if this is truly a Gundam. We're not even sure if this is what kind of mobile suit this is. It just says it's an experimental mobile suit. You can see the main character here, and I think this is the other pilot for the other Gundam that they're alluding to. But it goes over the story. Amate Yuzuhira is a high school student living peacefully in a space colony floating in outer space. That's about 90% of all of Gundam's TV shows. So there's not a whole lot new here when it comes to different types of scenarios and backgrounds. Meets a war refugee seems to be a pretty common trend here in most of these Gundam series. And throws herself in the fierce battle day after day, piloting the G-QuuuuuuX. So some Witch for Mercury stuff here that we see with the Academy. So I'm almost certain we're going to see a little bit of that, and then they're going to jump right into some of the war stuff later on during the series. So we get the character and the mecha. So if we look at the character, we only get to see these three, which is Machu or Amate, and then Nyan, and then Shuji. And Shuji is apparently the pilot for the Gundam that's to be named, and then Machu is the pilot for the G-QuuuuuuX. So if we go back and we look here at the mecha, we only have the one, which is the G-QuuuuuuX. For the longest time, I had a hard time trying to understand how to pronounce this name, and I'm just ballparking it at this point. Mysterious state-of-the-art mobile suit piloted by Machu. It participates in clan battle as part of the Pomeranians. So apparently they're a a battle of cute little dogs. Anyway. So this whole design is seen. It's, to me, this design is intriguing, yet it's a huge deviation away from what you would see with Gundam, and even Witch from Mercury, I would say to some degree was a deviation away from was a deviation away from standard or typical Gundam designs. So going even further with Evangelion, when it came to bringing that person in to do this kind of work for this new series, you can see a lot of the hinting there with Evangelion with Gundam. So I'm intrigued, yet not sure how I feel about this. I've got this kit right now currently sitting in my backlog, so I'm not too sure when I'm going to build that. I know it's going to be soon, but when I build it, I'm probably have some mixed feelings on it. So let's go ahead and get into the Gundams itself, or the Gundam kits. Now, I typically buy from newtype.us, but I also buy from the USA Gundam store. I am not paid by them. I'm not an affiliate of theirs, clearly, because I just started this channel a couple months ago, so it'd be really, really crazy if I were, but I'm not. But I do spend a lot of my hard-earned money here at USA Gundam store and at newtype.us. Thankfully, I was able to find the pre-orders here at USA Gundam store, because Newtype only has the one for the G-QuuuuuuX. But here on USA Gundam store, they seem to have the initial four. So the G-QuuuuuuX, the Red Gundam, the Zaku, and then the light cannon. And so we can go further into here and look at the G-QuuuuuuX. Now, like I said, most people have already seen this thing. There's a ton of reviews out there. So I'm not going to go too crazy into or too deep into this. Just that it's available. We all know it's there, and we all know that you can order it. What I will say is, when you look at the colors here and the color schemas, this kit is not fully color accurate to the show. by default. So you are going to have to do some painting, or you are going to do find some kind of decal set to kind of help fill in those blanks. There's a couple of YouTubers that I saw that go over this that have done painting on the G-Qu because it's not too it's not to scale when it comes to color accuracy, especially up here in the VFIN or whatever they're calling this. And so we'll move on to the Red Gundam, and this one is interesting to me. The Red Gundam is quite interesting to me because it is, you don't see this in Mobile Suit Gundam from 1979. This is not a Gundam you saw in that series at all. You saw Charles Zaku 2, you saw some goofs, you saw the ARC-72, the gun cannon, the gun tank, the gems, but you didn't see the Red Gundam. So I want to. Part of me still wonders to some degree if this is going to be an alternate universe version of the Universal Century. I really hope not, but at the same time, I kind of hope it is, because I really don't want them to take away from what's already been put out there and what's already been established since the beginning of 1979. So we look at this kit, and you could tell that this thing is going to be articulate. It's going to have tons and tons of mobility and the ability to pose and pull off some crazy looks. Am I a fan of the way this thing looks? No, not particularly. Though it has a stylization of a classic Gundam, it does deviate a little too much off to the other side, where I'm not too thrilled with it, especially up here when it comes to whatever these are called. I'm just gonna go with funnels for the time being, because I don't know what their actual weapon designation is. So I'm going to call them funnels. And this is, again, something you didn't see in Mobile Suit Gundam 1979. You didn't see funnels on the RX-782. And of course, there wasn't a Red Gundam in Mobile Suit Gundam 1979. So I'm trying to understand, without seeing anything on this show and just doing the research that I've done, I'm trying to understand what this is for, what these are for. And it's clear that they're funnels, but what kind of funnels are they called funnels? And is there another purpose to them outside of just being something that can detach from the actual mobile suit itself? So I'm curious. But I'm going to say that I'm pretty excited about this kit, just because the way that it can pose. I think it's going to look really good on the shelf. I think you're going to be able to pull off some really dynamic posing, and that is probably worth that $29 price tag. Well, $34 if you don't get a pre-order. Am I going to pre-order this? Probably not. I'm probably going to wait, because I've got a big enough backlog as it is. Sorry, I got to get some water. Anyway, we'll move on, and we'll go into the Zaku Police, or the Police Zaku. This, they weren't saying if this is a Zaku 2 brand or rebrand or reimagining, or just a regular Zaku. My guess here is that this is a reimagining of what a Zaku 1 would look like, or original Zaku would look like. Again, I'm not overly thrilled with this design. I wouldn't say I'm a purist, but I prefer the design language for the Zaku and Zaku 2 from Mobile Suit Gundam. And though I do like bulkier kits and a lot of detail, which this thing has a ton of detail, but even here at the bottom of the feet, you don't see any booster rockets. You don't see any you don't see any of that stuff. You have it here in the torso. You have it here in the back on the thighs. So, though I'm a fan of bulkier kits, I think this one just kind of missed the mark. I kind of want to see what this looks like when it's done. I will say that it's probably a lot more nimble and posable than most of the high grade Zaku's out there currently. So I'd like to see what that looks like, and how that's portrayed when I actually get the model in my hands and put it together. And lastly, we have here they're calling it the HG G-Qu light cannon. This to me is a gym. It's their version of a gym. This is probably the version of the gun cannon, and not the yeah. It's probably the version of the gun cannon, just not with two cannons on the back, just the one. I'm curious who's going to pilot this thing. You could tell that it's has some loose um, stylizations against the red Gundam and even the white Gundam that's coming out. There's tons of images online, but I could not find a pre-order for it anywhere. So that tells me that they weren't ready to release it yet. But there's some stylization here that kind of matches the current red Gundam. Um, it does match a little bit of the color scheme of the gun cannon from Mobile Suit Gundam. Again, it's hard for me to like this reimagining from a purely building perspective. I think that these kits are entirely detailed and intricate. And for me, I like that. The technical side of my mind really, really likes that. However, the fan in me of Gundam and Gunpla is kind of torn on this because this this is such a huge deviation away from what we've been able to see in the past. I'm kind of curious what they're really doing with this show and how far they're going to take it. I really don't know if this is just going to be a one-off or if this is going to be a reimagining and then they're going to start producing new shows based off this series. I really don't know. So my current thoughts on this is I'm torn. I really am. I've got mixed feelings on this series. I've got mixed feelings on these kits. I do think that they technically they look really good when it comes to technical details and detailing alone, the articulation, pivot points, and all that stuff. But I think that looks great on the technical aspect. But when it comes to actual design language, the aesthetics and the way that they look, I really think they should have reined in a little bit more creative control and not deviated so much away from the original designs that we so love and adore. So, all that being said, I'm curious what this is going to be like whenever it gets released. And I'm also curious now what y'all may think of this and what your opinions are of this particular series and this set of model kits. Again, we've got the original, the one that's coming out this year, that already came out this year, the G-Qu. We got the Red Gundam, we got the Zaku Police, and now the light cannon, or I'm going to call this a gun cannon because it looks really it very much looks like a gun cannon minus the second gun. So, what are your thoughts on this? Are you anticipating this series and this mobile suit kits, or are you not? Are you going to build them just because they're Gunpla, or are you going to avoid them? Let me know in the comment section. And while you're at it, go and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It does help. And I'll see y'all later.